What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday night. Welcome to Chips and Dish on this very special Blizzard Happy Monday night. I am joined, very excited for this night, joined by the gentlemen from Drunk on Broad. We got Rich and Oscar in the house. Fellas, what is up?
How's it going, guys?
What's up?
I have been very excited for this show all day long. I'll tell you what. We were going to do this earlier, but, you know, you wanted to get some thoughts about the whole head coach of the Eagles thing. So I was like, you know what? It's like a fine wine, man. We'll let it breathe another week. And here we are.
Had a meltdown last week. I'm like, I can't do that to Chip. I'm like, I want to put that on my own platform where only like 18 people are watching. I'm like, let me have my meltdown and look crazy there.
Hopefully you'll have some more viewers than that tonight, because let me tell you, man, we have so much to talk about in Philadelphia sports. But before we do that, I mean, gentlemen, why don't you talk about yourselves a little bit, introduce yourselves, let the people know who you are.
All right, definitely. I mean, I guess I'll go first since I already spoke, right? Honestly, I just have a passion for Phillies fans. Is that weird to say that? Like, I'm not actually a Philadelphia sports fan, but I love drinking with them. I love watching the games with them. So much passion, so much fun. And that's like where this idea came from, you know, like me and Rich are like, dude, we just love talking sports. And like, it doesn't matter if, you know, the Eagles are playing, doesn't matter if it's the Saints that are on, it doesn't matter if it's Tom Brady that's, you know, about to go to the Super Bowl. Uh-huh. It's always a fun conversation when it's like with this group of fans. So that's definitely what I am. But other than that, I'm just, you know, hey, what's up, guys?
Kyle's weighing in. What's up, Kyle? Kyle appreciates the Kobe jersey, the old school Kobe jersey. That you know, it's been a year. It hurts a little bit, but
yeah,
it sucks.
You know, got to show some love.
So like, yeah, exactly, showing the Philly love. Rich.
So I'm Rich. I got a fucked up eye because the accident earlier. I don't want to get into it. It's terrible. But I'm Rich. I am the host of Drunk on Broad. Me and Oscar, like we said, came up with this because we needed an outlet for fans. I felt like there was just too much out there not catering from a fan's point of view. Like, everybody's out there trying to do their thing. We appreciate everybody. We love everybody. But when it comes down to like getting the pulse of the fans, like, we want to be the two guys that you can come to and have like a barroom conversation with. I grew up with my family from South Philly. My dad, diehard Eagles fan, Sixers, Temple, RIP John Chaney. Just
another one, man.
Everything Philly sports, like the Vet to the Accor Center to the Spectrum to, what was it, Prism or something before that, Core State. Like the Philadelphia Bulldogs roller hockey team. I was there drinking Moosehead Yoo-hoo, like chocolate milk. So Philly sports is my passion. Being a fan is my passion. Talking crap with other fans and just trying to understand our mindset and living what we live through. That this isn't like this is a fandom that you're blessed to be in. You can't buy your way in. The only thing that you can do is just know your team.
Right, absolutely. And you know, it's so interesting that you say that because so much of these things that I'm looking at now, whether it's, you know, people shitting on the Sixers or people shitting on the Eagles, and I'm looking at these sportscasters, I'm looking at these radio people, and I'm sitting here going, you do not understand this city, and all you're doing is stoking this anger, right? Everybody's already angry because we've been sitting inside for a year. You mentioned having the barroom conversations. We haven't had that over the last year. We haven't gone to Eagles game. I mean, it's been really tough. So it's so interesting listening to these people from these sports stations and these articles that are being written, and they don't understand the actual pulse of Philadelphia sports.
Or is it painful?
It's painful.
It's painful. There's nothing interesting going on, and I don't like taking shots at people because I don't know them. But from a fan, like, don't give me some BS that's like tweeted out about, the Sixers just came back. They were down 20 last night, played John Chaney's zone, and wound up winning last night. And one of the greatest coaches to ever coach in the city of Philadelphia.
And it worked, right?
And it worked. And I love Doc Rivers even more for doing that. Me and my buddy Brian were talking about that. It was fantastic. Right. And the first thing that's brought up is from what I'm reading from tweets, because I don't listen, it's Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Put some respect on the Sixers. We'll talk, like we said, we have your agenda. We'll talk about that later. But
no. I was going to jump right into that. That was my point. We were talking today on Twitter because one of the tweets that came out was, Carson Wentz, Mr. Welcome to Philly, hasn't reached out to new head coach Nick Sirianni. Who gives a rat's ass? Who cares?
It's not his job. I don't care.
He's not the welcoming committee. He is a quarterback on the Philadelphia Eagles. He is a quarterback on the Philadelphia Eagles. It's not his job to welcome.
You have a public relations team for that.
And they did their job.
Anybody else do it? So why does Carson have to do it? Like, they just like stroke people's egos so much, and the writers have nothing else to talk about. And this is why I don't, like Phil said, it's why I stopped listening. I don't listen and I don't read. Like I want to get my media and my stuff from somewhere, but I don't trust anybody because all these anonymous sources when nobody comes out and says anything. And two, everything I click on is clickbait. It's such shit. The days when Philly had an interesting like media and all these personalities, now it's drowned out by all these bloggers. Right.
And we're one of those too. Like All About the Birds started out primarily as a writing site, and we're still putting up articles. You can go on our website and read all these great pieces. You know, I wrote one over the weekend, which was this Nick Sirianni conversation has gotten blown way the hell out of proportion. He had such an awful interview, an awful press conference. He answered questions, and I watched it Saturday morning. I watched it straight through. And as a middle school teacher, I went, that got a B+. That got a B+. Like, it wasn't bad. So, look, we could spend an hour just bashing on the media. Yeah. We're not because there are some good things that are happening. Yeah. And I want to do that. One thing that's going to be weird about tonight, and I'm hoping you guys can so a couple of months ago, let's back it up, right? A couple of months ago, I joined up with you guys on your podcast. So I did my show. I hopped on your guys' show, and we had a great conversation. It was during the Eagles season, and they sucked.
Yeah. Yeah, they sucked. They were not good.
Yeah, they were really bad, and they didn't get better. In fact, they got worse. So we had a lot to complain about. Yeah. Now, flash forward a couple months. This is the All About the Birds network, but one thing that we pride ourselves on Chips and Dish is we talk about things other than the Eagles. Hasn't happened yet. I go like 45 minutes about the Eagles. We're not doing that. If you tuned in to just complain about the Eagles right now, keep watching, but we're not there yet. No, keep watching. We want the viewership to stay. Keep watching. Comment in. Comment in. We'll get back to your comment. Yeah. But we're going to talk about some positive. We're going to talk about the positive in Philadelphia right now. So first off, well, yeah, we're both going to be talking about the Sixers. We're going to sneak it in because, again, I'm not up on my hockey. Flyers looking pretty good.
Yes, they are.
Goaltending came back up. They got to work on their penalty kill. That's what I've learned back from my Hockey 101, right? So I'm still a Leclerc-Lindros guy, and I'm surprised that they're not on the team.
I miss those days.
You know, I remember when Hextall was the goalie. I remember skating around in my front driveway pretending to be Mark Recchi.
Oh,
and Eric Desjardins.
So, what a beast.
When I say that my hockey knowledge is dated, it's dated. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. One thing that I like, and I don't know how much you guys have been following hockey. It wasn't on our agenda, but I'm just going to throw you to the wolves right away. What do you guys think about the back-to-back series each game?
I love it. Season? I'm just going to hop right in. I love it. I
love it.
I love watching Penguins versus Penguins. I love watching Bruins. I love this format. One, it keeps the players safe, which I like and I enjoy because I'm all about safety during this time. But it's also great because it's like we beat up on the Penguins twice. Like, yeah, we own you. Goodbye. Yeah. See you later. Peace. Bruins, we own you. See you later. Peace. Like I love every minute of, and it shows you like, all right, was the first game a fluke? Like, are they that much better than other teams in their division? The Metropolitan, I believe it is. Are they in the Metropolitan?
Sure. They play in the East. I got that much.
Yeah, the East. There's like the three divisions. I'm not sure. But are they that much better? And they go out there, and the first night they shut them out. The second night, of course, it's going to be closer because the team adjust after a back-to-back. They're going to be able to adjust. But then they still win, and I'm like, oh, shit, the Flyers are serious. Like, they were good last year. But now it's like, oh, snap. Like, the young guys that they have, I'm a huge fan of TK. I'm a huge fan of Provorov. It sucks Myers hurt, sucks Couturier's hurt, but Carter Hart, dude, we've been waiting like 15 years for a goalie like this. I don't want to let him go. But when people bash him on like stupid shit, like him going out and trying to like do too much and say, "Oh, he's too much of a Hextall." He's 22 years old, guys. Yeah, cut him a fucking break. We're gonna have him for the next 30 years.
22, Rich. Like.
I was a head case.
Drunk at the whip.
I was a head case.
Like, decisions in life.
You know what it is for me? And I mentioned this, I want to say last week. There's certain positions. Actually, this was last week. There's certain positions in all sports that you can know whether or not your team is good simply by analyzing that one position, right? So, obviously, quarterback in football. Your team is either good or bad based on that one position. Catcher in baseball.
Yeah.
You know, if you have bad catchers, your team is probably not very good because they touch the ball or have something to do with every single play, right?
I think you can make up for that. You can another position, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, you can. But again,
decent at that position, definitely.
Right. If you have a catcher who doesn't know how to call a game, then your starting pitchers are exposed.
Oh, you're screwed. Yeah, you're 100%.
Right. So think about if we go back to when the Phillies were really good and you had Carlos Ruiz. Carlos Ruiz couldn't hit water if he fell off a boat, but he could call a game like a motherfucker.
Yes, he could.
So he excelled at one aspect of his game. Posada couldn't catch a cold. You know what?
That's what I was referencing. That's exactly.
Go ahead. Talk to me. So I know you're a bit of a Yankees follower. I don't want to say you're a fan on my show because
then I might get kicked out for other reasons, right? But,
I'm making Mike for no reason. But go ahead. So talk to me a little bit about your Jorge Posada thoughts.
No, it's essentially like Carlos Ruiz, and it's like the opposite though. He was a pretty decent hitter. Could definitely get you the on base percentage was up there, but then when it came to actually being a catcher, it was just like, he did all right. He wasn't gonna be, actually, is he in the Hall of Fame? That's funny.
No.
I don't even know if he's on the Yankees Wall of Fame.
No, definitely not. No, but still, he was just decent enough for us to win enough with him.
Right. He also played for a Yankees organization that had absolute stud pitchers who could call their own games.
Exactly. Yeah.
But again, going back to our original point, right? Hockey, if you do not have a great goalie, your team sucks.
Yeah.
You know, you need to have somebody who can mind the net. And what we're seeing is that Hart he's pretty damn good. He's pretty damn good.
Agreed.
So as I'm getting back into the hockey thing, and you know, Dave is giving me props for talking hockey. I'm trying, Dave. I'm trying. I'm not a hockey guy yet. I love the Flyers, and I just want them to win. But I don't have the knowledge of the game. Like when I talk baseball, basketball, football, those are the ones I'm locked in on. But look at that. I just did my first 6 minutes on hockey. Hot damn.
That was good. Right. I'm proud of you because it's really hard. It's honestly really hard to talk hockey when you don't religiously follow it.
Yeah. And I used to. What did it for me was the strikes. They went on strike, and then I didn't miss it. And then they came back, and then they went on strike again. And I was like, oh, shit, hockey was back long enough for it to go on strike again. And I didn't. So for me, it was just not something that I craved. With that being said, watching these back-to-back games, like you were saying, number one, that first night, they're going out to put on a show. But because they're playing the next night, whatever happens in the first night with a dirty hit or an ugly hit or something that was questionable, the next night it's revenge.
It is.
And I love that. I love that.
That really makes for much more entertaining games because, I don't know how tactics work in hockey, but once you play once, you kind of know what you want to do the next time, right? So once you have that back to back, the goals were raining in, so yeah, I would say so.
I think the other thing that's really big about this is I'm hoping. Look, playoff hockey is already on a class on its own.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is going to make it better because you're seeing these series played so close together. So you're basically playing playoff hockey the entire series, entire season.
So you have hockey fans who watch the show.
I do.
My question, which I'm with Oscar, I don't understand strategy. I'm just let's see if this works. When they dump the puck and then they chase it, and then the one guy is behind the net, which I feel like is a terrible position to be, is when they're directly behind the net. And half the time they're never turned looking toward their shoulder. Their backs are always turned. My whole thing. What's the point? My
understanding of this is hockey. The puck bounces weird a lot. It's like a football, right? It bounces weird. Yeah. So all it takes is that puck to go around the one time, and the goalie's completely out of the net. So they dump it in, and then they send their speedsters down to try and get the puck.
I get that, but why is that guy standing directly behind the net? They'll dump it right behind the net, and you're oh, he's got it behind the net, but his back's always turned. He's never turned facing the back of the goalie's head. He's always his back's turned, and I'm how do you stay
play? I don't know.
The pass? It just, to me, it blows my mind.
I'm sure there is a goalie strategy for it, and if I have any people on here who have played goalie in their life, they want to chime in and explain the strategy behind that. Go ahead. That is not my
question for the fans.
What?
I have no idea. I don't want to Google it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing, everybody. And it's so interesting that you just said that because it leads into a great point. It's so interesting that you didn't feel there you go.
Okay.
Dave is DMG teaching us. The dump chase can also be a sign of a team that doesn't have the hands to carry it in. So just like with basketball, you need ball handlers. With football, you need, skill players. Hockey has stick handlers, people who are excellent skill players.
Mm-hmm.
Dump and chase is saying that you don't have as many of them. Or maybe not.
Why is the one guy standing right behind there? Why is the guy standing behind the hockey net?
The goalie? To prevent one of these skill players to getting to the puck before he can get it back to his team.
No, the offensive player. I'm talking about the offensive player who stands behind the net.
You're talking when they're behind the goalie and just waiting.
Yeah, why is that guy? What is that guy doing?
Flying V setup.
All right, so they dump. All right, so here's what I'm saying. I'm dumping the puck in. We get the ball. We're setting up our offense. I pass the ball back out to the point. The guy's got it, and he's looking. There's you have the one guy who's always in front. Obviously, he's creating a screen. But then they get the puck, and then they wait behind the net. And he's got the puck, and he's looking. I get it. But sometimes his back's turned when he has the puck. I'm like, how do you know like the angle of where to put times?
That's because you have players getting off the ice and you have to wait for the new ones to get on.
I see. I don't ever look at it that way. So thank you for bringing that up. I'd never look at it.
Listen, everything I learned about hockey, I learned from Emilio Estevez.
Yeah. Hey, the Mighty Duck guy. I was like, Emilio.
He was. He totally was.
He totally was.
All right. What I do understand, and I want to change gears a little bit here because I am. There you go. The net acts as a shield. See, Dave is teaching us so much, and I appreciate that. So one thing I want to talk about are the first place Philadelphia 76ers.
Love it.
We have a team. Finally, we trusted the process.
And here we are. What's the process?
Cousin Dave. What's going on, Cousin Dave?
Hey,
not my cousin Dave. It's just what he goes by.
He's just everyone's cousin then.
Everybody has one of those runs. Yeah, it's my cousin.
He's his cousin. Right.
He's my cousin.
Right. So the Sixers are in first place, which is so exciting because they sucked so very bad. They were so bad, and we trusted the process, and they gave Brett Brown a chance to execute with it. And then they were bad. So they got rid of Brett Brown. They hired Doc Rivers, and I'm a big Doc Rivers fan. They're the best team in the East. They had 15-6 record. They're 2.5 games ahead of Brooklyn, who was supposed to be this just uber powerhouse.
Right.
This week they've got Charlotte, Portland, and Brooklyn on Saturday.
It's gonna be
right?
tough.
And Kyle said, yeah. Doc elevated the team to new heights, no question. So you've got Charlotte, which is a winnable game. Portland, which is depending on how Lillard plays, it's a winnable game. But then you've got the Brooklyn Nets. So that game is a tough game Saturday night. Opening question. They're the best team in the East. Can they go to the finals? Oscar, we'll start with you.
I was going to say yes. And the only reason why I say that is that I think they're actually more organized as a team from the little that I could see. I mean, Brooklyn let up 147 points they lost by 2 points, but they let up 140-something points. So it's just and
the defense is horrible.
It's not the first time they've done it. They've been letting up over 100 points so many times. So if you can score against them, their offense you're just going to have to hold them at bay.
Well, so how about this, right? I have a statistic to back up what you're saying, right? Here's the statistic. And I have to fix the glasses when it talks to math numbers. So here we go. By the way, guys, I don't wear glasses. These are the blue light blockers. I just can't keep staring at these screens all the time. So my vision's fine. I can drive at night. Since the Harden trade, right?
And that's about
right. The Rockets are 6-3 with the best defensive rating in the NBA. The Nets are also 6-3 with the worst defensive rating in the NBA. And if it was to end today, would set a record for how bad their defense is.
It's outrageous. I mean, look at their last 5 games. I feel like they only let up under 100 once, maybe.
Yeah, they're bad. Richard's saying is, can Kevin Durant hold up?
That's also
so right. So the big question is, can the Sixers win the East? Oscar, you're saying yes. Rich, what are your thoughts on that? Can they win the East?
I think hands down they can. Just you look at their efficiency and how they're playing and how they're limiting turnovers now. I mean, I believe it might have been I forget who I've read it from, but the outstanding thing is Ben Simmons. Like, all right, granted he's not shooting, but he's still 60%, and his turnovers are down to 1.8 turnovers a game.
Well, and that was the big thing, right? He was turning over the ball at a really high pace before. And now he's starting to reel it back in. Yeah. And Dave's saying here, like, you want to see Ben in playoff half-court basketball. That issue's not going away yet. But like Don is saying, the space created by the shooters has opened the door for so many players. And again, something else that I saw, with Ben Simmons on the court, the 76ers are shooting 45% from 3 points. When Ben Simmons is off the court, 29%.
Yeah.
So even though Ben Simmons isn't shooting threes, we in Philadelphia have got to take a step back for a second, right? Because it's the fans, shoot the three, shoot the three, shoot the three, shoot the. I don't need Ben Simmons to shoot the three. Doc Rivers doesn't need Ben Simmons to shoot the three. We need the players around him to shoot and make the threes. and let him dominate on the inside and be the facilitator.
He's like number 3 on the list for assisted 3-pointers in his career. And who has he had besides JJ Redick, who shoots threes? The lack of respect given to Ben Simmons because he doesn't shoot threes and doesn't shoot the ball all the time is ridiculous. I understand we need to see his half-point game. In the playoffs, I need to see Ben be a different Ben. In the regular season, I don't care. Because Joel Embiid is the unstoppable force in basketball. No one can guard him. No.
And that was my next question. Is Joel Embiid the MVP of the NBA
by far?
Right now?
There's no one.
I agree.
Yeah.
There's no one better. No one's playing basketball better.
I think
coming from a center.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if your center could affect your team so much at the point when he's not playing that you do end up performing more poorly, says enough about him as just being more than a center for that team, at least. He's definitely just an MVP. He's most important player.
And you look how this team plays without, so last night was the first time that they won a game without him playing.
Yeah.
Before that, they'd gotten their tails kicked in the other time. So the fact of the matter is, he needs to play more. Cousin Dave's about to shovel. Yo, good luck, because there's more snow coming, man. There is a lot more snow coming.
All day today, bro. Be careful. I am sore. Be careful.
Yeah. But no, so Joel Embiid right now is getting into the conversation with some seriously great name players, right? He is now one of 3 Sixers to ever average 35 points and 10 rebounds over a 5-game stretch. And the players who did that were Wilt Chamberlain and Charles Barkley.
Studs.
Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
He also is now the 6th player in NBA history to score 35 points and get 10 rebounds in under 27 minutes. The other names on that list, Patrick Ewing, Rick Smits, Samuel Dalembert, Luka Doncic, and Giannis. You've got some names there. I need to see him on the court more. The durability is the question mark. Because Dwight Howard is not. He's an incredible off-the-bench player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's not the dominant Dwight Howard he used to be. And the fact that he's playing as many games as a starter, it's going to be wear and tear that we're not going to have him later on.
I was surprised that they didn't go after, say, Nerlens Noel or somebody else, center-wise. I don't really care who it is besides, someone who has a little bit more of an offensive game or when Joel isn't in the lineup. Sure. Dwight Howard's a hell of a rebounder, a hell of a defender, but he's not solid with finishing. If it's not a dunk, it's
But he is definitely an upgrade from Kyle O'Quinn.
1,000,000%. But I'm saying coming from this year, you know what your problems are. They had Pell last year. He was not good. He was that spark that you needed from a 6'10" guy. He was that spark. Loved it. But I understand the JoJo and the durability, everybody does, and we need to see him on the court. But when that guy is on the court,
it's unreal.
You can't. I'm not even saying it because I'm a Sixers fan. I don't think they can be beat. He locks down whoever, and no one can lock him down.
Right.
His progression as a basketball player who just started playing basketball, 7 years ago?
Crazy.
Is incredible.
Crazy.
And think about it, he grew up as a soccer player, so he's got that footwork. That is a skill that is translating to the NBA. It's a unique skill set.
My issue with the Sixers that I see is Curry. I feel bad. He was getting hot, then he got COVID, and he's starting to get his legs back. But Danny Green, bro, you are trash. You are playing terribly. What? I mean,
we don't need him to play. We don't need him to play incredible, right? That lineup, that starting lineup is 11-0.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't
necessarily need to be the show. It just needs to be the fact that he is a key piece in that current rotation.
Yeah.
Now, do I want to see a little more playoff Danny Green?
Yeah, well,
yes, I do.
Just knock down 2 or 3 threes. That's all. I'm not asking for Danny Green to put up 21. Just give me 7 or 8. Don't stop giving me 2 on 1 of 6 from the field. 0 of 3 from 3. Dude,
he's definitely got to pick his spots a little better. And it's definitely something that we have to watch for. So then I lead into my next question. We talked about the Nets. We know what Milwaukee has. What
do the Holiday, Giannis, and Middleton, and then other than that, they have no one.
Yeah,
and let's be real. Giannis isn't having a great defensive year, and Middleton's not that great of a defender. So it's another team. The Nets, I forget, somebody put it, Jared Allen was their best defender. They traded away their best defender. Why would you do that? Oh, because you think sacrificing points for scoring is going to help you. Not when the other guys can score as many points as you. KD doesn't play defense. Harden never plays defense. That's why I wasn't trading Ben Simmons. I'm not trading Ben Simmons, who is the best on-ball defender in the league, for a guy who's going to put up 35, but is also going to let up 40.
Yeah.
Right. We know James Harden does not play defense. The fact that the Rockets got that much better defensively when they got rid of the guy is insane. It's the same logic, though, of pretty much all sports. Defense wins championships.
Yeah.
And you've got a guy like Ben Simmons who is in the running, if not the front runner, for Defensive Player of the Year. And then you've got Matisse Thybulle, who defensively was never the question. And now he's starting to get an offensive piece as well. You're talking about a clutch member of the bench now, too.
Yeah. And I love Matisse. Matisse is like one of my favorite players in the Sixers because his personality off the court and his defense is second to none. They drafted him for a 3-and-D guy. He'll develop more offense, but he's a defensive guy. And that's what we need from Thybulle. We don't need guys to come in and take on roles of where I need you to score 10 and do this much. It's like, Matisse, cover this guy, stick your hand out, get some pokes, poke the ball away, figure out what you do.
And last Wednesday night, it wasn't like Thybulle and Simmons were playing against schlubs. They were shutting down LeBron James.
Yep.
Yeah. They were shutting down LeBron James.
And it's incredible when you see a second-year guy doing that and a guy who gets a lot of flack because he doesn't want to shoot threes in an NBA where –
and why does he get threes? Because we're in Philadelphia.
But that's what we want to do. But we're also the same fucking fan base that's going to bitch when he goes 0 from 6 from 3. And it's, well, why isn't he passing the ball? Well, why is he taking all them shots? He's selfish. Let's trade him for James Harden.
It's a double-edged sword. Yeah.
So here's my question, right? And I brought this up on Twitter today. And we had a conversation before we went live about this. So one of my questions was about what moves do the Sixers need to make to not only win the East, but win the championship. And a lot of the names that have been said are Bradley Beal.
Yeah, my boy. I want him. I love him. Give me him.
Okay. Do you still love him after that video that I showed you ever so nicely? Because I'm putting it up right now. My friends, if you have not seen this video, so this is a video from Bradley Beal against the Nets. And they were getting their asses kicked. And my comment that I made today was, if this was happening in Philadelphia, Bradley Beal would be removed from the city by his ears. I'm just going to play this video. I'm not even playing it with the sound, right? So Bradley Beal is playing some great offense, great contributing member of the offense right there. Here he's going to play. He's in the corner, set up, ready, totally ready. He's still ready. Okay. So this play was great, right? Robin Lopez score, and that's got to call timeout and refocus, right? And Bradley Beal, great teammate that he is.
It's so messed up.
It's this is great.
What I appreciate about Bradley Beal in this clip is how much he is focused on the team meeting here. From 4 feet behind the team.
Yeah, I'm not in the circle.
This next clip is probably one of my favorites. You're going to see some great defense volleyball skills. High five to this guy, though. Oh, no, I missed you. So my point was this. Bradley Beal does any of this in Philadelphia. And we know he wants out of Washington. He doesn't want to play with Russell Westbrook. I get that.
No one does.
But he does any of this in Philadelphia. Is he the same person?
I think so. Go ahead, Oscar. I'm sorry. You answer first.
No, I was gonna say that's tough because he wants out, so he's showing his displeasure. He wants it to be known out there. If he moves here, what's the difference gonna be, right? It's just gonna be like he's gonna help push in the playoffs, definitely. He's an athlete that will definitely do that. But will his attitude be fixed? I don't think so.
I think we saw with the Eagles is that you are what you put on tape. So I never saw any of this with Bradley Beal last year, but I'm seeing it this year when they finally got Westbrook. And, maybe they're this 1-2 punch. And Westbrook is playing like Westbrook plays. But, Richard, I don't think Westbrook is on the table. nor do I really want him.
No. He's another guy who's never won anything. Him and James Harden couldn't play together. Westbrook won't play with anyone. Westbrook is a one-man show. That's right. It. And that's why he doesn't win. I don't want perennial losers. I want guys who are going to take me over the top. Bradley Beal has never been given or granted that while being in Washington.
Sure.
I get it. Bradley Beal's had great chemistry with John Wall. Why they traded John Wall for Russell Westbrook is beyond me. I get it. No, maybe they didn't want him. I don't want Zach LaVine either. I don't want Zach LaVine either.
Now, why is that? Because I am a Zach LaVine fan. I've always been a Zach LaVine fan. Is it the injuries for you?
It's the injuries, and it's just this. He's on a Bulls team that's not good, and he's the man. Okay, yeah. He's where was he like earlier in his career when there was people like, to me, it's just too much of they're overhyping Zach LaVine because he's on a bad Bulls team. He's the guy who's taking the highest percentage of shots. No, thank you.
He's the Nnamdi Asomugha from the Raiders who never came out to be a good Eagles defender.
1,000%. And I love the kid. I love the
really good way of saying that. Wow.
But the kid's always hurt.
Yeah.
That was a great point. He's married to Kerry Washington, and she's super hot.
I didn't say that he struck out on the field of life.
No,
I said he did good on the field.
He did good. My man. But
so first off, that's the first Nnamdi Asomugha reference ever on the show. And going back to Don's comment up here, it's the first dinosaur reference on here where he spelled pterodactyl correctly. So he is a science teacher.
My son would know that. But if you look at what the Sixers need, I don't think they need a cutthroat player unless you're talking about like a guy who's got ice water in his veins, somebody who's super clutch. Then I'm going with Bradley Beal. I don't know what it's going to take to get him, but you're probably not going to, and Washington is very insistent on we're not.
I don't want to disrupt the things that are working already, right? I don't want to get rid of a Maxey. I don't want to get rid of a Shake Milton. I don't want to get rid of a Matisse Thybulle. These are key young players so that when a Danny Green, who's only in here really for this season, is ready to move on, a Seth Curry, who I would like to be here longer, but probably not.
Danny, if you can pack, and sounds really weird, why I'm a proponent of this makes no sense to me, but I keep talking myself into it. But if I can package a Danny Green and something and try to get something from the Pelicans, whether it be JJ Redick, I don't care. I just need a guy to come off the bench and shoot threes. He's a defensive liability, and I know he hates what the Sixers were. So from his podcast and his,
I will just say this: I do not want Lonzo Ball on this team.
No, I don't want Lonzo at all.
I started hearing that chatter today. I don't want it.
We don't need another facilitator. We have Ben. There's no point. We have literally a 6'10" point guard with some of the best court vision, who's third in the league since he came in for assisted 3-pointers, passing the ball to God knows who, and can still go out there and dominate whenever he wants to take the game over.
Right, exactly.
So trading for Lonzo Ball for another guy who's passed first, that doesn't help. If it's his brother, you're damn right. Give me Melo. Melo is shitting for Charlotte.
I know, but again, more than anything, I just have a problem with the whole Ball family.
Yeah.
It's too much. I don't need the media circus that goes with it.
Yeah.
And Richard seems to agree with me.
Richard, that's fine, but LaMelo can play. So I would take LaMelo as an option off the bench. You're not going to get. I would take Wayne.
This is a Danny Green that we're cool with.
How was your 3-point shooting, Mr. Dan Green?
Yeah, shouldn't you be training with the Sixers right now?
Yeah. I don't think they need much.
And that's my thing. I think they need one or two key cog pieces, but they don't need another superstar stud where they have to, bet, give away the farm in order to get it, which is what Beal would be, which is what all the talk around Harden would have been.
Yeah, he would be the only guy that I would think of trading Simmons for at the time, like when all the Harden's rumors were. But even then, I still wasn't trading. I'm still not trading Ben Simmons for Bradley Beal. Just not doing it. Mike Scott probably has to go whenever he's cleared from his injury. He doesn't really offer much of anything now since they're not playing bully ball and they're not trying to kill anybody. It's just hard. Furkan Korkmaz will be the guy who drops 30 and then drops 0 because that's Korkmaz. He's kind of
I think that if anyone's getting traded, that's going to be one of the ones that goes. I really do.
Because he's a shooter, and I agree with you 100%. Just because he can shoot 40% from 3, but that's literally all the guy can do. If you give him the ball, he's a walking turnover. He's a walking turnover.
Right, exactly. And he'll get better, but not with this team. I think that you use him for what he needs to, but he is definitely a tradable piece at this point in his career. But again, I like the way the Sixers team is built right now. So speaking of building things, let's talk about a team that is built just the way every fan in Philadelphia wanted.
Are we talking about Are we talking about the kicks? The wings? We're talking lacrosse?
We're not. We're talking about the Phillies with JT and Didi.
My favorite.
See that transition there? See, that's key, gentlemen, the transitions.
Ooh.
I sat here a week ago and I screamed for the Phillies to re-sign JT Realmuto. And they did.
Hallelujah.
And I came on and I did a show all about how JT Realmuto is the key. And me and Don Conaway were talking and we said, what's the next piece they need? Well, they needed a shortstop. And at the time, Didi Gregorius wasn't the guy yet. Mm-hmm. Then they went out and they re-got Didi Gregorius for 2 years.
And I'm happy.
I'm excited about this Phillies team. Now, what moves still need to happen?
I was going to say, actually,
a 2, a 3, a 4.
All right, so we know our left fielder is McCutchen.
Yeah,
we know our first. So I'm looking at like a potential lineup, right?
Okay.
McCutchen leads off in left field. Hoskins bats second. You're not playing Rhys Hoskins. All right. Make your case, Oscar. Oscar, you got to mediate this because I'm about to.
Yeah, I was going to say,
go ahead.
Rhys Hoskins?
Go ahead with your Rhys Hoskins thing.
The future?
I know. No. I didn't say that.
You're just saying for this year.
I think that Rhys Hoskins is a good player on this team. I think that what happened is Gabe Kapler looked at analytics and his yoga poses and all the bullshit that he spewed. And he said that Rhys Hoskins had to swing for the fence every goddamn time. And he taught him things on how to swing for the fence every time. And he ruined the eye that got Rhys Hoskins to the major leagues. Rhys Hoskins needs work. And Girardi's been doing that for him. However, I think Rhys Hoskins is a serviceable first baseman on this team.
For what the Phillies tried to sell us on him?
Sure.
Yeah, no, he was an absolute letdown. From what you're selling me on, okay, I'm cool with serviceable. They tried to sell him as the second coming of Ryan Howard, and this Rhys Hoskins character is going to be the first baseman of our future. He is going to be the guy that leads Philly in all these parades down Broad Street. Me and us going to be drunk right there. Like we were going to be there. But from watching this kid play, Chip, you would be there too. From watching this kid play, it's just like head scratching how terrible of a swing he has. The one when he hit like 29 home runs and it took him like 60 games to hit his 30th. It was kind of getting ridiculous. It's like like 70 games at his 30th. It's like, dude, how do you hit 29 home runs that fast and then you can't run into one? And it's because pitching him any different.
People start to adapt though. So they start to place him in different places. They start to change pitch location. They start to do little things. And if you've got a coach who says, swing for the fences, swing for the fences, which is what Gabe Kapler did. And his analytics scale and his Billy Bean philosophy, Rhys Hoskins' job was to hit home runs.
And he couldn't hit a curveball. And he still can't hit a curveball.
So in that case, he is the second coming of Ryan Howard.
Basically. Well, Ryan Howard was that slider.
It's pretty up there.
It was the slider when he blew his Achilles because he barely ticked it.
All right, you're talking me into him being the second coming of Ryan Howard, Chip. So I'm on board.
But again, is it his fault that he was promoted that way? I don't see it as his fault. I think he's like Chip's saying, he's a serviceable first baseman. Honestly, I don't see any flaws to him playing right there. Who else is in the market? Like, come on.
Right, and that's the thing. So you do have to look at, and this is, Dan said, and yes, Dan, I messed up your name for some reason. I had Dave on the mind. So,
Dan.
Yes, this is the same team. Rhys is just average. The league has. These are all things that are true. And yes, he does feel like Stevie Wonder. I love that analogy.
He's terrible.
What I will say is that as a first baseman, you don't have to be the greatest fielder of all time. It's a plus. It's a plus. You just have to catch the ball.
I played first base for
my
baseball.
It's a plus.
You had to be a good fielder. If not, I was never seeing the field. I could do a full split. Doug McCavich is my first baseman. Doug McCavich. That's who I modeled my game after. Couldn't hit for shit, but he was.
Here's what I'm going to tell you that prove that you don't have to be a good fielder to be a first baseman.
Give me Frank Thomas.
Nope.
Give me
John Kruk played first base in Major League Baseball.
Batted 300, that fat slob.
I didn't say that he had to not be a good hitter.
No, he could hit. He could hit.
But again, you want to talk about fielding like Stevie Wonder. He fielded like the guy who ate Stevie Wonder. Right? You also have to remember there was a lot. There you go. There's your analogy for the day.
Yeah, seriously.
What the hell's going on?
I'm crying. It's the soap in my eye.
Jesus Christ. How does Chips and Dish start Black History Month? By making a joke about okay, moving on.
John Kruk ate him.
Right. But the point is that, you talk about Rhys Hoskins, a guy who came up and they're like, oh, well, play outfield. Oh, well, play first base. Oh, play third base. Play over here. Instead of being a jack of all trades and a master of none, he needs now a first base coach. This is how you play first base.
Agreed. I mean, like Oscar said, you can't fault the way the organization pushed him. I'm not faulting the guy. I want to see him do better. I love baseball. It'll always be number one in my heart.
For sure. I love baseball.
It's, to me, the purest game, which is weird to say because it just stands. I love the little things they do to it, but it stands the same throughout. It's just
let's talk about the purity of it, shall we?
Yeah, I was gonna say the purity might be the word.
Let's talk about the purity of it. You just did the segue. Nobody got into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame this season.
Were you surprised?
I was not surprised. I'm still disappointed, though.
And why aren't you surprised? Who's doing the voting?
People who go steroids are wrong. Steroids are wrong.
80-year-old white dudes who are doing the voting, who've seen baseball for when you couldn't even score a run, where they had a crown of victor. Okay, you get to the 90s. You get to the steroid era, which was the best era in baseball. If anybody tells you different, they're lying. And I put out a tweet. You liked it. Oscar understood it. Clemens, Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, all those guys, throw them in the Hall of Fame because baseball wouldn't be what it is today.
And that was it, right? So my question, if I am a baseball writer, and Rob Motti was on our show 2 weeks ago, and it was awesome, right? And I got his book up here in the corner, right? Rob Motti voted for some of these guys. He's like, these guys have to be in. Look at just the statistics. Mm-hmm. Here's my question. If I was a writer and I was someone allowed to vote on Baseball Hall of Fame, one question. Can you write the complete game of baseball without insert name?
No.
Can you write the game of baseball without Barry Bonds?
No.
No. He's the home run leader. He goes in the Hall. Can you write the game of baseball without Roger Clemens?
No.
No. Can you write the game of baseball without Mark McGwire?
No.
No, because that summer when it was McGwire versus Sosa, everybody was watching the game of baseball.
Dude. The highest ratings ever in the history of Major League Baseball came from that. Kids grew up wanting to hit home runs. We were playing home run derby, acting as Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa and Griffey and whoever stance that we could mock, because that's what we wanted to be. We had this conversation. Barry Bonds was on roids.
100%.
He saw one pitch in at bat, and broke the home run record.
Yeah.
And before that, he was still hitting home runs and stealing bases.
Right.
He's one of the best baseball players of all time. You cannot leave him out. I hate the guy.
Oh, he's a complete turd.
Like him. But you can't write baseball without Bonds. I don't like Mark McGwire. Same thing. Sammy Sosa. Same thing. Yeah. These guys made baseball exciting and fun again. Made kids play the game.
And we did like a solid hour show just doing the steroids debate, right? I had Josh and Don on, and I kind of mediated between the two. And we did this debate before an Eagles Monday night game. We did a special 2-hour episode. So my point is this. You look at some of these names, and I back it up a step. I go, okay, if you want to shut down all of these guys, okay, that's your prerogative. It's wrong, but it's your prerogative. How can you allow the Houston Astros to hold on to their title then? When you banished all of the Chicago Black Sox for you, and you completely banned Pete Rose from baseball for his discretions.
Gambling on his team to win. His team to win.
It doesn't make any sense. And I'm pretty sure, I don't remember who said this, but it was definitely, it might have been the Yankees pitcher now. I can't remember his name. But he essentially said, I would rather know that my opponent's using steroids than him knowing my signs and them stealing.
Knowing what pitch I'm going to throw.
Like that's like completely like, steroids have been part of the game. Guess what? Get used to it. It made it more entertaining, like everyone's been saying. And it's just, how can the Astros keep that World Series?
I don't think you can pick and choose what's wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think you can pick and choose that's an acceptable level of cheating versus this is a non-acceptable level of cheating. Richard, Oscar is laying into you again, right? He thinks your boy Andy Pettitte should be in the Hall.
I agree. I agree as well. The World Series, it's 2 different decades. He did, 2010 and
he was a part of that Yankee staff that dominated the game of baseball. You cannot write the game of baseball without the 90s, early 2000 New York Yankees.
Yep. And that does include, who else was using steroids on that team? Probably a lot more people that we don't even know of.
What about the Arizona Diamondbacks? You had Luis Gonzalez. He roided. And that was one of the best stories of that summer. Watching the Diamondbacks in there with Randy Johnson and Schilling and Luis. Like that was one of the best stories. Like watching them in, like it boggles my mind because I love baseball. And when I say purity, I mean the game itself doesn't change.
Sure.
Players, whatever. But like Oscar said, growing up playing baseball, having my best friend was catching after I was done. I made the transition to first. My dude changed signs pretty much every third inning. Would just change it every time. Just, all right, this is what we're going to do. Here's the signs. People aren't going to steal them from you. For him to say, talking to Nick about that, he will even be the one to say, if you're stealing somebody's signs, it's an advantage. But you as a player have to be better. But when you're using technology to do it, it's an unfair advantage. I could take steroids and I could go out there and bat 098 because I just don't have the hand-eye coordination. I could not be on steroids, and you could tell me every single time what pitch is coming and what location, and I guarantee I'll bat 300 because that's the difference of the game. You can either be good and take steroids to hit the ball 30 feet farther, or you can be not taking steroids and understand that I'm going to know the sign before, or I'm going to know what pitch he's going to throw, before it's being thrown, and I'm going to place it or I'm going to hit it wherever I want. There's a huge difference between taking something that redoes your muscle structure versus actually knowing what pitch is coming.
Agreed. Absolutely agree. And I look at these players that are, and Scott Rowland, Dan, absolutely should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Absolutely should be in the Hall of Fame. The fact of the matter is that you are shutting down an entire generation of excellence. People who got players invested in this game. If you cannot write the story of baseball without some of these names, they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
1,000%.
It's just that simple.
It was an abomination that nobody was voted in this year.
I don't translate that necessarily to football.
Different game.
It's a different game. Like Donovan McNabb is not a Hall of Famer.
No.
He was a Philadelphia Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
But he's not an NFL Hall of Famer.
No.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. And it came down to if he had won a Super Bowl, then he gets to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. That's the only thing that would actually count for that instead of choking twice. So, no, I'm not.
One time choking so much that he...
Yeah, that he threw up because he was out, according to T.O., he was out drinking the night before. Really? McNabb likes the booze? Oh.
Listen, I hope he comes on one day and talks to us. I hope the T.O. comes on one day and talks to us. But, as a Philadelphia Eagles fan, that one hurts, right?
Yeah.
But back to the Phillies, right? McCutchen, Hoskins, Harper, real muto. Top four solid.
Yep.
Alec Boehm, who is turning into a stud very quickly. One of the last players to come out of the farm system that is just completely bare.
Yeah.
Didi Gregorius, Gene Segura, who I could still move on from. But putting him at second base, I can live with. I don't want him at shortstop. And then Kingery at center field, but that's going to be kind of like a platoon situation. Kingery is another one of those jack of all trades, master of none kind of players. What this team needs is pitching.
Yep.
I don't know, man. I'm like, you bring up Scott Kingery, I'm about to go grab my bourbon because that's how much like.
But Scott Kingery batting eighth. But Scott Kingery batting eighth and flipping every other day with Roman Quinn.
Oh my God.
That's not impactful.
Stop with Roman Quinn. He can't steal first. I hate Roman Quinn. You can't steal first. He's fast. That's it. He's so bad. And he's like 30. Like, come on, man. I understand what you're saying. I'm not yelling at you, Chip. I'm just
No. I get it. I'm not a Roman Quinn fan either. And back before they signed Didi, before they signed Didi, Roman Quinn was your everyday starting center fielder. So let's talk about the fact that Didi Gregorius puts a couple other things in motion.
Oh, and he helps everything. But I also think Gene's going to get traded for somebody, and then he always is, because it's not the fact that he's a bad player. It's just the fact that he's valuable to a sense where there's not that many 300 hitting good defensive second basemen. So then you move.
He's not one of them.
He hits 300 and he's not bad.
No. I just keep thinking of Gene Segura as the shortstop who was terrible.
Oh yeah, no,
and
he's
the third baseman who was terrible.
That's because Phillies love doing. Hey, you can play infield. You're a first baseman by trade. Let's move you to short and see how you do. It's like, what?
Yeah.
No, no. They're going to trade Gene. Hopefully they can get a young outfielder. I'll be happy with that. We need a center fielder.
Mm-hmm.
My question to you. All right. Let me ask you something, Chip.
Bring it on.
You have Alec Boehm, right? Who's
sure.
going to be our third baseman. You can move him to first. Nolan Arenado gets traded for zilch, not even a top
nothing
prospect. Why weren't the Phillies making a call?
Because we have Rhys Hoskins.
This dude got traded for absolutely nothing.
Oh, I know.
To the Cardinals. But we couldn't have been like, hey, we'll give you Rhys Hoskins and $25 million. We'll take Nolan. You put Nolan to third, move Boehm to first, and your lineup got that much better. Regardless,
I also think one thing that needs to be talked about, Rhys Hoskins is around, and if he become a quality first baseman, great. You just re-signed JT Realmuto for 5 years.
Yes.
Now you are talking about a catcher who, as he ages, what starts to go right away?
Well, he's going to go to first base. But the whole thing is, Bohm is good at third, but he's going to have to move.
Sure.
So now you have two guys who are going to be competing for first base in Realmuto and Bohm. So what do you do? Yeah, they're paying $50 million of his contract because they have nobody else signed. Who cares? It's baseball. That's big money. It's out the window.
Right.
Give me Arenado. Give me the best third baseman in baseball.
I agree. And look, there should have been a conversation. We don't know if there were conversations. The fact of the matter is that Rhys Hoskins is your first baseman. Dan seems to think that he will be traded soon. He agrees with you, Rich. He is not the long-term answer.
But he's not going to get traded because he's not valuable. No one, like people, like just because they're young, they're not putting people like where they're going to knock on our door and be like, let's get this guy from you for something trade. You're not going to get a prospect that you want. You're going to get a.
But remember, we're also coming off of a time when Gabe Kapler and analytics was ruling how this team was built.
Yes.
We are not that far into the Girardi regime where he's got nothing but his guys yet.
But do you, Chip, in today's baseball, coming from last year where there was no season for AAA, AA, single A.
Yeah, that's a concern.
You can't. All right. So the 19-year-old kid, the lefty who throws 100, who was supposed to be an instructional A ball last year, is now your number 3 prospect. Are you going to take a shot on him being at 20, being a year behind in development, and trading a Rhys Hoskins for a guy like that? You're not going to.
I think one thing that is not being talked about nearly enough, and we're also in January, it has been 47 feet of snow outside. We're not ready to talk about the summer games yet. One thing that's not being talked about enough is what the lack of a minor league system last year is going to do to baseball this year.
These guys didn't play at all. So all the guys who were 2 years away from being in the major leagues,
they're still 2 years away. But they're going to get pushed up.
And they're going to stink. And that's how you kill people's morale. You bring these guys up when they're not ready, and then they stink, and then that's it. It's a head game. It's baseball. It's not a sport where, okay, you come from high school, you're like the Mike Trouts and all those guys. I played against Billy Rao. You'll never know who he is, but he was the number 6 player drafted in the 2007 MLB draft. Mm-hmm. Number 6 overall. Went to the Orioles, couldn't get out of A ball.
Yep.
Because he was better than everybody in high school, but he wasn't better than everybody in A ball.
Which is a different game.
It's way different. When guys are throwing 90 flat in high school and they're throwing 90 with movement in the pros, way different. It sets all organizations back, and that's why I don't think that you're going to see a lot of trades for prospects. If you do, it's a huge crapshoot because these guys, like you said, 2 years away, they're still 2 years away.
Right. And the other thing that's really interesting about that is I find it interesting that Dombrowski was brought in this year with the track record that he has for just blowing up minor league systems because he knows, look, I'm just going to get value for this guy, because other people don't know. They haven't had eyes on these guys over the last year. Let me see what I can get for these guys.
Yeah, pretty much.
So Dombrowski is a clutch move here. So anyway, pitching is the key. You know, apparently they went to Zach Wheeler's pitching day.
Okay.
You know, even though that we need nothing to do with Zach Wheeler. Not Wheeler. Who's the cat we had that sucked? It was Wheeler.
No, Zach Wheeler's a stud.
No, not Zach. Who did we just have on the roster?
Cole Irwin?
No. He was one of our starters.
Jake Arrieta.
Yeah.
Jake Arrieta.
They went to Arrieta's pitching day just to, go out there and visit him.
It was really good talking to you guys. See you later.
Yeah, I swear to God, if they sign Arrieta back up.
That me and Oscar will quit the podcast. I'm just kidding. We won't, but we might.
What?
We won't.
But don't worry. Oscar, thoughts on us re-signing one of our other big. So JT Realmuto was free agent move number 1, important. Mm-hmm. Free agent move number 2 was Didi Gregorius. What are your thoughts on free agent move number 3? Vince Velasquez is a Philadelphia Philly again.
Like my. All right.
You said it. You said it.
That's it. That's all you need to say.
Really? What can you really say? No, honestly, like
why? Why is a good word.
Essentially, that's the only thing you can say. Why? What's going through your mind? What's the thought process? What is the reasoning?
Revolution. It's like
that. It's just kind of like.
I think you look at that, and that's kind of tying into the minor league system again. You don't know what Spencer Howard is going to bring you. You don't know what some of the others. At least with Vince Velasquez, you know you get about 4 innings worth of pitching every other start.
Every third Sunday.
So depending on whether or not the sun is in the sky, or if he's wearing his pinstripes or his solid colors, I mean, you're going to get something out of him. The bullpen still needs a little bump, although my boy Archie, God, I love that kid. Archie Bradley, our new closer. Big move, because that means what's his name isn't closing for us now.
Nearez is going to be our setup man. All right, I like that.
Right, exactly. You're starting to see pieces being made, and it came with Dombrowski coming in. Okay, I'm looking at the viewership. People have been waiting ever. Yes, we know Vinny V is trash. He's been stealing money for years.
Dude, was this?
We know Don. So Don played some catcher, so he understands the importance of the position.
Yeah, but he's stealing pennies. He's not getting paid. He's getting paid $4 million that he got an arbitration to come back. It's laughable. It's the whole situation with Vinny V is it's the project on the 9th year. It's like, you should be in the bullpen. Why aren't you in the bullpen? Oh, because we don't have anybody else.
God, he's so bad. He's so bad. He's so bad. It was funny for a while when I was going to a lot of games, and I was working at a summer camp, so we got Phillies tickets, and I would go. It would always be games when J.A. Happ was pitching. I'm like, I don't want to watch this guy pitch. He is a dud. This was the same time when Doc was on our team, when we had all of our stud pitchers, and I kept getting J.A. Happ. That's Vinny V to me.
But then J.A. Happ left and was good. He was like,
right, because he got struck with the Philly curse. You suck here. You go be good elsewhere.
Remember when we had A.J. Burnett and we gave him $21 million and we were praying that he declined his option? And he did. Mm-hmm. He was like, oh, thank God. Whew. That was a saving grace. And then he went on and had a good year.
We managed to do an hour 7, not doing it. All right. Let's talk Eagles.
That burp.
Let me stretch this one out. Let me take a sip of the beer. The Philadelphia Eagles, right now, they're in the offseason, so we shouldn't have a lot to talk about.
Sure.
He's ready. Philadelphia. Okay. Before I say anything,
I'm just going to take the hat off because now it's going to get real.
I will give you your chance to have your Festivus on my show. What are your initial thoughts on Nick Sirianni as the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles?
Oscar, I'm going to go first. Appreciate it. I don't care. I actually don't care.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. I said it on our show. I keep saying it. Keep telling everybody it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Like them or love them or hate them or just cast him off to the side. He's not going to be here when the Eagles are relevant. So let's stop judging this guy for taking a job that no one wanted.
Yeah.
No one wanted this job. When Dabble came out and said, I'm passing, and then Bieniemy goes, I'm passing. Josh McDaniels wants full control because he wants to be Belichick 2.0. And Howie's like, well, I'm still here, chocolate, vanilla. You're my taste. You're not getting a head coach who's going to come in and make noise. People killed him for his press conference. It wasn't
They killed him for his press conference.
It wasn't good, but he's a first-year head coach who took a job that nobody wanted. So when the Eagles do get good in 4 to 5 years, which means in 3 years when we draft our future quarterback and we actually have pieces around him. Yeah, we're not.
Interesting.
Yeah, because that's what's going to happen. You're going to bring in a coach who can develop a quarterback and a coach who's going to be able to get the most out of his players. This hire was strictly for Carson Wentz to see if he was salvageable. If he's not salvageable, the dude gets fired. Carson gets traded. We turn the reins over for another year until we have to re-sign him to Jalen Hurts, who's not going to do much better because now you need a coach who can game plan for a quarterback who's a design run kind of guy. It doesn't matter. And exactly, he won't be good till Howie's gone. So that's why I'm saying 5 years. This was a hire based off Carson Wentz. It's not a hire for the future. And you never start out in a press conference being an owner of a team saying, we're going through a fucking rebuild. You moron, Jeffrey Lurie. No,
not in this town. Rebuild. Not in this town. This is a town that lives and look, you want to talk the Flyers, which we did. Everybody loves their Flyers. You want to talk the Sixers? Some people love the Sixers. You want to talk the Phillies? People always follow the Phillies. People live, breathe, eat, sleep, and die by the Philadelphia Eagles. That's why this entire network is all about the Birds network.
Yeah.
That's why it was so difficult to talk for an hour and 7 minutes about things that were not the Philadelphia Eagles. But we made a point of it.
It was
it was great. I had a great time. But as the owner of this team, you can't go, we're going to suck.
You can't say that.
You can't.
Whenever,
Oscar, your thoughts go.
Like whenever you say that, whenever that's the first thing out of your mouth, you're already saying, hey, guys, I'm throwing in the towel before the season even started.
Yeah.
This season's going to suck for the fans. I'm sorry. That's literally what it felt like he was saying. And like you said, everyone lives and breathes the Eagles here. It's unacceptable. They have to be a playoff team no matter what. They have to bring the entertainment. And like it is like the press conference, what is he going to say? I'm going to win the Super Bowl my first year here, guys. Like,
I'm going to be really, really honest. So I was teaching when the press conference was going on. So I was talking to my writers. I said, look, everybody needs to watch this. Somebody needs to write me an article. Tell me what's going on. And Dan Green, he stepped up. He wrote a great piece for the All About the Birds network. And he basically said, look, this guy's a puppet. So I went, oh my God, I'm going to have to watch this article. I'm going to have to watch this press conference and see what's up. So I watched it Saturday morning and I also wrote a piece. It wasn't as bad as everyone's making it out to be.
No.
Did he stumble over his words? Some of them, sure. Was he asked the same question 9 different ways about whether or not Carson Wentz or Jalen Hurts is the starting quarterback? Yes. Was he asked it again this morning on Angelo? Yes. Was he asked at the interview? Yes. He was asked that question over and over and over and over and over again to the point of exhaustion. And what he did do is he's kept level and maintained throughout the entire time, which as a head coach, I can't ask for anything. I want to see a guy who, when things get stressful, doesn't have a memorable clip. I want a guy who, when things get stressful, can keep a head about him. If Carson Wentz is the starting quarterback, then Carson Wentz is the starting quarterback. He right now, I found a stat, and I want to share this with everybody. So there have been, since from the year 2009 to 2016, 22 first-round quarterbacks. You know, Goff, Wentz, Lynch, Winston, Mariota, Bortles, Manziel, holy crap. Bridgewater, Manuel, Luck, Griffin, Tannehill, Whedon, Newton, Locker, Gabbert, Ponder, Bradford, Tebow, Stafford, Sanchez, and Freeman. 22 first-round quarterbacks from 2009 to 2016. One is still on the same team that he was drafted by, and it's Carson Wentz. They are invested in this guy.
Yep.
That does not say, no, I do not want a coach that's eating kneecaps. What you saw with the Detroit Lions, Don, and I don't know if Jason's still watching. He's actually might be doing his own show, the Fairway to Heaven show. What you saw is a clip that people will remember. It's the playoffs comment all over again. It's the you play to win the game comment all over again.
Herm. Love Big Herm.
You didn't get that from the introductory press conference. You got a meddlesome owner who was quickly approaching Jerry Jones level interference. You got a very clear comment, which is Howie picks the 53, which worries the shit out of me. But besides that, Nick Sirianni came in and said flat out, every position is a competing position. Oh, well, what about Brandon Graham? What about Jason Kelce? What about those guys have to go out and compete. If they go in and they shit the bed, they're not going to be the starters.
And they're not. And you think that they're not going to beat them guys? Like, come on. Jason Kelce's going to be like, not you, Chip. I'm talking about the
No.
You as the Philadelphia media asked the same fucking question 9 different ways. You think Kelce's not going to compete? You think Brandon Graham, coming off a Pro Bowl year, is not going to compete? You're talking about the 2 leaders of the offense and the defense. They're the guys that we want to single out who aren't going to compete. I'm like, come on.
Right. And the thing that he said is, look, we're going to go in. He said his 5 pillars, right? And I wrote the article the other day for it. The 5 pillars that he says are central to his team. Now, again, mind you, it sounds great. But how do you execute it? Connect with each other. Absolutely. No more of this he said, she said in the media crap. Connect with each other. Compete every single day.
Which
right? You're not playing to lose. You're not putting Nate Sudfeld in because you want to lose. You play every single game. Accountability. If Carson Wentz isn't doing his job, he needs to be held accountable. Yeah. If Miles Sanders is fumbling the ball, he needs to be held accountable. Accountability. Being a smart football team through CSM's easy to learn, game management, situational ball, and fundamentals. These are all things that if we're put in place, we're a better football team.
Yeah. So, Chip, question for you. You have an owner who goes, hey, we're rebuilding. We're definitely going to start a rebuild. We want to acquire picks and assets. Okay. I'm the owner. Oscar, you are my franchise quarterback. Chip, you are the media. Do you expect Oscar to speak after me, the owner, goes and says, we're in a rebuild? How do you think Oscar, my star franchise quarterback who had 1 bad year, who was held accountable and benched toward the end of the season, is going to respond and feel to that? Carson's feelings are hurt. Carson is not a good teammate, but he was there for Hurts every single time he came off the field. Do we, as a fan base and a media, not hold Jeffrey Lurie accountable for saying we're in the middle of a rebuild, which you never want to admit? And many people, many analysts, many football players said you never want to admit that.
Ever.
But you want to give Carson, not you, the media, want to give Carson Wentz shit for not speaking to you when he's probably going to be traded because the owner is incompetent.
So that's one of my questions, right? One of the big things that came out over the weekend was Malcolm Jenkins went on to the Rich Eisen show, right?
Yep.
I love Malcolm Jenkins. Absolutely love Malcolm Jenkins. And he said some things that I think people need to hear. I'm pretty sure I clicked the audio button, but you know what? I don't trust myself. Give me a second. I'm going to reshare the screen here because I'm afraid that I didn't click the one button that I need in order for people to hear.
But I need a picture.
That. No, I'm sure you've already heard it because I told you to listen to it ahead of time. I'll push and play on this. So this is Malcolm Jenkins' comments on the Rich Eisen show, and I'll stop it every once in a while to talk.
I know this is not your current team, but I'm wondering what you do think of, if you don't mind me just throwing you in right now as part of the paparazzi, and what you think of what is going on with your former team in Philadelphia. Do you have any thoughts on that subject, Malcolm Jenkins? If so, what are they?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I hadn't really paid a ton of attention to it. I was really just looking around the league to look at, with all of the coaching vacancies, how they want to handle, black coaches and what opportunities want to come. But I do know that whoever, was going to take over that job in Philly was inheriting, some work. And I think Jeffrey Lurie made some some comments earlier this offseason that hinted or was really direct about, they're going into a rebuilding phase.
So, okay, I'm going to pause it right there.
I know as players on it.
Malcolm Jenkins, who is no stock in the Eagles situation, heard about this rebuild thing.
Yes.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
You can't hire a guy and say, all right, well, we're going to make sure that this is, a rebuild year, and then still expect your team to go out and compete.
100%.
You're a joke around the NFL. So we keep going.
On a team and as a fan base, you never really want to hear that. Because it sometimes kind of muddies up what the priorities are. But look, they got a situation where obviously all that went down with Carson Wentz this year, a lot of money invested into him.
This is key.
And then you had Jalen Hurts come in and really take command of this offense.
He was okay.
A little bit of juice into the team. First time that happened.
Yes. Okay.
From a backup quarterback, obviously,
Nick Foles
in Philly, and so it's one of those things that like something has to change. Whether you put that onus on the coaching staff or you put that onus on the players that are there. But I mean, there's obviously going to be a lot of work to be done there. But they've got great leadership. They've got players, in that locker room that are a prideful group. And what you hope to see is that, at least from a fan, right? I even call myself an Eagles fan.
No,
you just hope that the competitiveness, that the culture, and the kind of the ethos of what that team stands for at least stays in place.
So again, as a fan of the Eagles, you do, however, have quite a unique perspective. And one more follow-up on this. Is there an issue with Wentz in that locker room? We keep on hearing about it. You were there when there was a magazine article locally that came out, said there was a big problem with Wentz and players in that locker room. Is there an issue? Is there any there about Carson Wentz that you can share with us, Malcolm?
Well, I think, as a teammate and friend of Carson's, I think that, it always starts right with performance. And he hadn't performed up to, I think, the expectations that everybody's had for him. And I don't think he would say he's played up to his own expectations.
Right.
But some of the other issues that I felt, when I was in the locker room was just that, there was just too much leeway. And it didn't make him a better player. I don't think they did him any favors by, trying to kind of protect his ego or trying to, just really protect him as a player, as opposed to keeping it just like every other player. It's like keeping it performance based and really being, real about what he needed to improve on, but also adjusting to put him in places that, that can make him successful.
Right.
And I think, that's a little bit on the coaching staff. That's also some onus on the players.
So I'm stopping it there. So basically we get the gist is that he's not being held accountable, and we saw that. And it's part of the reason why Doug Peterson got the axe eventually. Accountability is everything in this league. And one thing that Nick Sirianni said in his press conference that I loved and I wrote down and I was all over it, players want to be coached hard. They want to be pushed to levels they've never been playing at before. That's not something you saw with Doug Peterson. It just wasn't.
No. But did Malcolm Jenkins actually say anything of substance? No. It's everything that we've seen and known. That's like listening to that. When you sent me the link, I'm like, oh man, I can't wait for like hearing something that like I don't already know. and then I listened to it. I'm like,
you know exactly what Eagles fans know.
I'm like, yeah, dude. I'm like, cool. You know as much as I do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he wasn't okay. Well, here's what happened. Carson Wentz got paid. Oh, there's a lot of money invested in him. Thanks, Malcolm. And then he goes, he had too much leeway. Accountability, which is the word of the day. Accountability.
It was the word of the year. It was the word of the year.
And he wasn't held accountable. But then he was held accountable and benched to see what Jalen Hurts had. He was a good teammate. They want to say that he lost the locker room and all. Like, no one knows that. No one knows that. So for them to say that Carson Wentz lost the locker room, doesn't have this, whatever. That's cool. Who cares? Thank you for saying that, and goodbye. Mm-hmm. But Malcolm Jenkins didn't say anything of substance to me besides the fact that everything that we already know. But people were jumping on that like, oh, my God, yeah, what? No, why? And it's just like, guys.
The thing is that the NFL – right, the NFL is a fraternity. It's a brotherhood. So to hear one of your former players and apparently one of your friends say, look, this guy's not held accountable, goes, okay, we thought it. Mm-hmm. He's confirming it. This isn't – sources say. This is Malcolm Jenkins, who I trust and respect.
Yeah. But I also put that on the coach.
I do too. And that's why the coach is no longer here.
I'm not putting it on. I'm not saying this because I like Carson. I'm not putting it on Carson. Why is it? Is it Carson? So Carson's going to go, hey, man, I'm having a real crap game. I'm like 7 for 22 for 70 yards and an interception. That was Jalen Hurts last game.
Right. Sure.
So, yeah, I'm gonna sit myself. You put the backup in. Go ahead. I'm gonna hold myself accountable. I'm gonna sit down.
I just think that there is so much being brought into the media. There's so much being brought. Guys, it's the offseason. Give this guy a chance. Look, we don't know what Nick Sirianni is. You know what Nick Sirianni is? He's the Brett Brown. He's been brought in to rebuild. He's been brought in to teach skills to players. And if they happen to win the NFC East, then they happen to win the NFC East. But Nick Sirianni was not hired to be a Super Bowl winning coach. He was hired to be a Howie yes man and to coach up these players. That's it. You know, I think the bigger stories need to be Stoutland is coming back because he is an incredible coach.
I was worried. That had me terrified. I'm like, if we lose our language,
a bigger conversation is that Aaron Moorhead is being brought back. When you had from the last, he was one of the worst coaches in the NFL with that receiving core. Because what a coach does is it's judged by output. Our receivers suck.
I'm about to go squirt liquid soap in my other eye.
Yeah, balance it out for sure.
Moorhead.
The fact that Aaron Moorhead was brought back, that to me says, look, there's some talent there, but nobody wanted this job.
There's no one wants this job because they don't want to work for Howie. And Jeffrey doesn't understand it. Or he does and just doesn't give a shit. But we as fans, me, you, Oscar, we are fans. We will always be fans. We'll still buy into the product of this is what's being put in front of us. If Sirianni runs into 5 wins, he runs into 5 wins. If he runs in the NFC East, like you said, he runs into the NFC East. Me and Oscar talked about this on the last podcast. It's just let the dude give the guy the fucking ear.
Give the guy a chance. What it came down to, and I wrote this in my article, the reason why half of Philadelphia has turned on him after a week in the job,
because they're weak-minded.
Because he's not Deuce Staley.
Which is stupid. What did Deuce do? What does
Deuce do? Nothing. And Deuce clearly was lacking something on his roster. So one thing that Jeffrey Lurie said is that the interview is only 33% of the process. So they had hired Nick Sirianni before they even brought him in for the interview. Let's call it like it is.
Yeah.
Deuce Staley was missing something. So Deuce Staley made the best choice for himself and said, okay, I need to go to a different organization and build up my resume. And I use the example of working in a grocery store. If you get hired as a bag boy, and then you get promoted to a cashier, and then you get promoted to the desk, and then you work in the seat, you do all the jobs in the same grocery store, you still have only did one job your entire 4, 5, 6, 7 year career. You have to venture out to build your resume.
That's a good way of putting it, yeah.
Yeah, which is fair to say. And I don't hate Deuce. I like Deuce.
I love Deuce Staley.
Same thing. I'm like, I love Deuce, but he's not the guy. He made a lateral move to another organization
to build his resume.
Yeah, to see what he can do.
And I don't hate him for it.
DeAndre Swift, Kerryon Johnson, whoever they draft in the AP. Cool.
Right. And he's going to go there and eat kneecaps. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, his job, he's probably not the kneecap either. He's probably going to start from the shin and work his way up.
Probably the ankle.
Way up, yeah.
I biting an ankle or two. Taking a big tile, get a balance, work the balance, see what happens.
Big trade. Well, since we're talking quarterbacks, right? Goff traded for Stafford. My question for you is, which, let me tell you, Stafford is going to do great in Sean McVay's system. Like, so well.
I love Matt Stafford.
So well.
I cried for Matt Stafford. That dude deserves it. That dude deserves to go to
He's made a career out of getting the shit kicked out of himself.
Mm-hmm.
They have a running back. They have 2 running backs. They have this thing called a defense. They have wide receivers. This kid is going to do so well. I'm so excited for Matt Stafford.
But
Nobody
we are in the
NFL deserves it more than Matt Stafford.
Right, but we're in a quarterback controversy as well. So what would it take for Carson Wentz level trade like that? Should the Eagles make a trade of that nature?
You need a trade partner.
You need a trade partner who basically you need an equal lateral quarterback swap for a swap.
And that's not going to happen.
I agree. I don't see a way that trade happens.
After what they got for Stafford, Deshaun Watson's not going to get moved. Thank you, Matt Stafford. Because the Texans, apparently they said today, what was it, Oscar, they put in the group chat? It was 2 number 1s, 2 number 2s, and then 2 defensive studs is what he wants.
You're not like Pro Bowlers. What?
Yeah, you're not getting that. I'm sorry. The Eagles are going to want yes, someone you need someone to want him. Yeah, exactly.
Don is exactly right. Don is a frequent guest on this show, and I did the Phillies show with him last week. Yeah, he's exactly right. You need someone that wants him. And allegedly the Colts want him. Allegedly Frank Reich wants him.
The Colts are going to get Aaron Rodgers. Watch. The Colts are going to get Aaron Rodgers.
Whoa, I need a sound effect for a whoa.
That is my hot take. But the Colts are going to get Aaron Rodgers.
Wait,
how you figure?
Aaron Rodgers. You ever have like that feeling in your gut that you know something's going to happen? That's the feeling that I have. Is they are going to mortgage the farm to get that Super Bowl that Indy needs after Andrew Luck retired. Don't ask me why, but it's just conversation between me and my pops. We talk about it, and we're like, where do you think Aaron Rodgers is going to go? And we both say the Colts. I don't think if you can get Carson Wentz, you can get Aaron Rodgers. You just have to offer more. And I think that's what they're going to do.
I mean, I'm going to disagree with you. I don't see a way that he plays for any other team except for Green Bay.
I agree with that.
Yeah, Oscar, you don't think he moves at all?
No, he's a Packer. There's no way.
But I don't think he wants to be there anymore. I honestly don't think he wants to be there anymore, which I can't blame him.
I don't see him I don't know what
it's weird.
Everything I see that goes out from Green Bay is that he's getting what he wants there. I mean, what would be his incentive to go to the Colts at the moment? Besides his contract,
he's getting older and he doesn't have to play outside in Lambeau in December and January.
Well, I guess that's probably a huge trade-off, actually.
And he has a defense that could help him out. And he could still
I don't see it. Rich, I like you. I think you're a swell guy.
That's my only legit hot take of any.
I think that feeling that you get in your gut, you probably should go sit on the toilet because that's where that hot take's going to go.
I do have IBS, so it could.
I don't see Aaron Rodgers playing for any other team than the Green Bay Packers. I think that they fire LaFleur to keep Aaron Rodgers around before they get rid of Aaron Rodgers.
That front office doesn't care. They didn't do anything to help him.
They don't give a shit, right? Aaron Rodgers ain't going nowhere. And I also don't think Carson Wentz is going anywhere either.
No, but you know what the greatest thing is? Chip, I love the trade for Matt Stafford because I'm not even I don't even know. I'm just a Matt Stafford fan. And so we already know the Rams don't give a shit about draft picks because they turn first rounders into Pro Bowlers. And now they turned 2 first rounders and the rest of the haul for Matt Stafford. The Lions get those future first round picks. What is it? It's next year and the year after.
Yep.
And they get a guy in Jared Goff who can't read a defense, who's going to keep them in the top 3 to 5 pick contention. They're going to rebuild. They're going to get the quarterback of their future in 2 years. They're on the hook this year for a lot of money. 2022, a lot of money. 2023, $8 million. They'll save 28 if they cut them.
Right.
It's the perfect move by the Lions.
It was a great move. And by that point, when Jared Goff is on his way out, interim head coach Deuce Staley will be able to do whatever he wants with the team. There's my hot take. Interim coach Deuce Staley.
Running back coach Deuce Staley.
Will move his way up from the shin all the way to the head of the lion.
He ate a shoulder yesterday. You should have seen it.
All right, listen. We've been going for an hour and a half. Two more things I want to talk about. One big thing with the Eagles, and then we'll talk Super Bowl predictions. One thing that is coming out that is making me irate. There's a lot of talk of Jason Kelce being cut and then retiring. If they cut Jason Kelce, I might not watch Eagles football this year.
Why would you? All right, so I don't know who, whatchamacallit, put this out there, but I saw it, and it was like a fake like NFL account where it's they're saying they're going to cut. You're not going to cut Jason Kelce. You never cut Jason Kelce. There's no point to cut Jason Kelce because he's not going to save you that much against the cap. So why would you cut your Pro Bowl center, who is your only glue and fixture of that offensive line? That's stupid. And if the Eagles did that just to bring Jason Peters, the body bag, back, I have problems.
We don't mention that name here anymore. We just don't mention. That's like a JJ Arcega-Whiteside. We don't mention those names.
But I guarantee JJ will be back.
I know he will.
Alshon's going to be back. D-Jack will be back. It's just we have to look at it this way, guys. We're Eagles fans. We're going to suffer next year. And I think Richard said that we're going to get 3 wins. If we run into 3 wins next year, that's because Carson's playing really well. And we might have drafted okay. Because there's a lot of things that we're going to have to talk about on another show of the missed draft picks from this year. But now you're going to talk about cutting Jason Kelce? Are you out of your freaking mind?
Because that solves the problem. So I judge an offseason of did the team get better? Did the team get better with the moves they made? If they cut Jason Kelce, then the answer for the entire offseason will be no.
Because now your offensive line is depleted yet again. It's
at the key position.
It's just so dumb. Like like this is my beef. It's just so dumb.
Stop trying to overthink everybody. Well, you might say 6.2 against the Stop it.
And you're still in the whole $62 million. So what does that do?
Stop it. Jason Kelce needs to be a Philadelphia Eagle until he dies.
Yeah.
Stop it.
And even when he retires, you still put him out there. It's like, Jason, I know you retired last year, but you're our center. Like, that's it. Like, come on. That makes me upset.
I know. And like I said, it infuriated me. That just can't happen. Okay.
That schedule is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. And they haven't even announced the 17th game yet. Don wants to know who plays quarterback for the Saints next year.
Jameis.
Drew Brees.
Jameis. Drew Brees is
Drew
done.
Brees.
He's done. He's retiring after the Super Bowl.
Fine. Blake Bortles.
Hot take. If Drew Brees comes back, Sean Payton in that front office gets fired. They have to. If I'm the owner and you're bringing back a guy who couldn't throw the ball 5 yards, you're fine.
That's true.
You're fine.
That's true. But again, you're talking about a guy who can write his own ticket.
He literally held them hostage and got $40 million this year. He accounted for $60 million against the cap.
I think you can look at it a lot of ways. You can look at Alex Smith, because I don't know if they're going to re-sign him in Washington. You can look at a trade where Tua goes over there. You can look at a Fitzmagic going over there. You can look at a lot. There are so many. You can look at a Roethlisberger going over there. You just don't know. There are so many moving pieces. Hell, Deshaun Watson is in play for the Saints.
They don't have money. They can't do it.
I understand. But what I'm saying is with 10 to 12 starting quarterbacks changing teams this offseason, it could be anybody. We just don't know. But we do know who's in the Super Bowl. Final conversation.
Do we have to leave? Do we have to leave?
Listen, I could talk all night, but the wife is going to want to go to bed at some point. So
I hear you.
And I'm not far behind.
Amen.
Oscar, we're going to start with you.
All right.
Super Bowl prediction and why?
All right, so I'm going to get the why out. I just hate the owners of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Long story, they own Manchester United too, so they spent a lot of money to bring Tom Brady to the Buccaneers and spend $100 million to bring Jadon Sancho back to England. That's besides the ownership, hate where they put their money. So I just want the Chiefs to win by a lot. And also, I just don't like Tom Brady that much. I agree. He's the greatest quarterback of all time. Just don't like him. would much rather have Patrick Mahomes win that. So I'm actually going for an entertaining first half where probably going to be more defensive, more people being scared of going at it. But I think the Chiefs are they're gonna open that game wide open.
Richard thinks Tom Brady wins the Super Bowl at home. He's already throwing shade, by the way. He's like, this is so much different than the other 9 times I was in the Super Bowl. It's like, damn.
Yeah.
Because you've been in the Super Bowl 10 times. 10. A fucking 10.
Crazy. Crazy.
All right, Rich. So Oscar, you got the Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Because of soccer ownership.
Soccer ownership. Okay. Yeah.
Rich, lay it on me, brother.
You already know what I'm going to say. The strength of the Tampa Bay defense is their front line and their linebackers. With that said, there's a guy who under pressure can make throws from any angle. His wide receivers always get open, and he's got this freak tight end named Travis Kelce. The Chiefs are going to win. It's like Oscar said, it'll be a very entertaining first half. But those corners on Tampa Bay, that dude Dean and the other, or Keen or Dean, whatever, and then the other guy, they were made out to be like Pro Bowlers. Oh my God, they killed the Saints. If you looked when you actually watched the Saints game, nobody played more than 7 yards off the line of scrimmage because they knew Drew Brees was banged up, couldn't throw the ball. Tampa Bay had a cakewalk to get to where they were. Am I saying that Aaron Rodgers was a cakewalk? No, but that defense and the way they played was a cakewalk.
The way the whole game was managed was embarrassing for the Pack.
And then the final pass interference call, get out of here. When Allen Lazard was being held all the way down the field, I'm not even going to get into that. Kansas City is going to win by a final score of 40-25 because we have 0-5 in our big money block pool. 40-25. It's going to be a double-digit win.
I think so too.
So you're not going to stop. They're not going to stop Tyreek Hill. They're not going to stop Travis Kelce. The Chiefs don't have to run the ball. Patrick Mahomes can make any throw on the field. That's it. 40-25 Chiefs.
So I have been back and forth on this for the last 2 weeks. And I go back to my mantra. Defense wins Super Bowls. Mm-hmm. Tampa Bay's defense is insane. Tom Brady against Andy Reid is pretty much a lock. Mm-hmm. Tom Brady with 2 weeks to prepare in a quiet house because his family isn't there and no travel in a stadium that he knows the way the wind blows and everything happens is scary. Eric Fisher, the stud tackle for the Chiefs, is out.
Don't matter.
Which means that defensive line has another way to get there. I don't like it. I want to be wrong because there's a guy from Wissahickon who plays where I went to high school who plays for the Chiefs. And I love Andy Reid and I love Pat Mahomes and I love them all. And I hate Tom Brady. Defense wins championships. Tom Brady wins another fucking Super Bowl.
He said he wanted to be wrong, Rich, okay?
I want to be wrong. No,
there's
a lot of things. There's a lot of things that tend to lead in Tom Brady's favor.
Agreed. But I don't say it. You got a guy. My whole thing is
here's a guy.
Here's a guy who can make a throw on the run. Here's a guy who actually looks better outside the pocket. And that's why I'm taking Patrick Mahomes. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to be the GOAT and surpass Tom Brady. But for right now, I'll give Tom Brady his props. He is the GOAT. But I'm going to give it – I can't rule – if I'm playing against a quarterback, I don't want to play against Patrick Mahomes. That guy can make every throw. But I see what you're saying. So I look at defense. So, all right, gentlemen, it's been an hour and 45. I think I've taken all the viewers away from the Fairway to Heaven show, and I'm cool with that. I gotta pay the bills a little bit. So All About the Birds is now partnered with 99jersey.com. It's actually where I got this Kobe jersey. There is a code right there. It's been scrolling along your screens. AAT Birds X99 jersey for a 15% discount. You see me with these jerseys all the time. Do not forget that we are always on every Wednesday night
with our weekly show. It's me, Phil, Johnny, and Jeff. This Friday night, we are bringing on into our Eagles Vault show, which when we get some of these players that come back that want to do some talking, we're going to bring Freddie Barnett on and talk about football with Freddie Barnett on Friday night. There's the draft show on Saturday night with Johnny. We do a lot of stuff on the All About the Birds network. Every Monday night, 8 o'clock, Chips and Dish. I always bring different guests on. I want to thank Oscar and Rich from Drunk on Broad for joining me tonight. It was, I don't want the fun to end.
Yeah, right.
No, neither. I had a great time. This is a blast.
It was a really a good time. And you guys are always welcome on. We end things a little cheesily here. First off, do you guys have anything you want to wrap up with before I wrap it all up?
I was just saying, thank you for having us. I really enjoyed this conversation. It didn't feel like the hour and 45 minutes. That's when
I kept looking at the time. I'm like, damn, this is flying.
Yeah.
Time flew. And I'm really sorry that Mondays are the days for anaphylactic shock and getting liquid soap in my eye.
And 18 feet of snow outside. Rich, what do you mean who started this? This is what we do. This is the great thing about a pandemic is that we can still connect like this. Don, thanks, buddy. So as always, we end every show because it's all about the Birds Network with a little Go Birds.
Go Birds!
Go Birds! And my corny ass sign off, which I really got to work on a better one, is just keep chipping away at life, gentlemen.
I love it.
Beautiful.
So I'm going to play the commercial for next week, and then I'll sign it off. Gentlemen, just watch your mics because I have to do the old school way.
Oh.